Okay, hey guys, here I am with Dennis. He is an art god in Berlin. He knows everything about how to make money with your art. So I have a couple of questions to him. So, can you tell my audience what are you making? What is your work here in Berlin?
My work specifically is to organize exhibitions, to work with artists, to help them exhibit their work, to participate in group shows or in institutional exhibitions, in museums, etc. And at the end of the day also to sell their art. Basically that's my job.
Can you tell how it is working in Berlin with art? What artists making to sell them their art? What is the situation with art in Berlin? How does it work in general?
I think anyway the best answer to discover things is to say I don't know, you know? Because that opens a whole new world of possibilities which you can learn. What does art mean? I mean, in Berlin you have everything, like in every other bigger capital in Europe. You have all sorts of different art markets and exhibitions. So it's a very general question. I mean, maybe you would work, if you work in high contemporary art, you would work differently than if you are within the scene maybe we are curious about. My general attitude in life would be that, you know, often people have this idea of a linear, linear life. They say, oh, you know, when I was 5 years old, I wanted to be a pilot, so my entire life was built to become a pilot, and now I am a successful pilot. You know, there's still this kind of romanticized image of this kind of life, but it doesn't really work like that. I believe that the secret to somehow be successful in whatever is to have some sort of multi-potentialist thinking, right? Even if you are having a bakery and you are trying to sell bread, it's not enough only to know how to make bread. Probably you need to know a little bit about, I don't know, PR, you will have some Instagram account, or I don't know, you need knowledge about, I don't know, digital world. So that's already another layer which you need.
But isn't it better than when artists make his art and people like you sell this art, make PR, make marketing and so on, and the artist don't think about such things, he only think about his art?
Sure, I mean I guess if you have a team of people and everybody has some sort of an area of curiosity and interest to specify and focus on, it's most probably the one which will bring you the most advantages. And I agree with you. But often, maybe even when you are starting out and when you're a young artist, maybe you don't have those possibilities, or maybe you're not there yet. So you will be forced at some point, you know, to be a multi-potential and to do a lot of things, you know, by your own.
Can you tell me shortly what is the way of artist in Berlin? Okay, I'm a 20 years old guy. I have my own style of painting. I make canvases. I make different art. So what I make to move on, like to sell my paintings? What is the classic way of artists here in Berlin, in Germany?
I don't know what's the classic way. I know the one thing: you have to knock on every door. It's very simple. I mean, if you don't knock on, what can happen to you if you knock on a door? There are three possibilities. One possibility, somebody doesn't open a door. Second possibility, somebody opens the door and says, oh shit, not that guy, and close the door. And that's the worst one. And the third possibility is like, oh yeah, come in. Okay. So there is not much more. The thing is, if you are, you know, not ready to knock on the door because of whatever reasons, because you are not an outgoing person or a shy guy, nobody will even know that you were there.
Okay.
You know, so it's really trying, knocking on a lot of doors and producing. I think also when you're a young artist, you do have an energy, so you should use it.
So I know in Berlin it's many ways to go anywhere with your art, like lots of galleries, lots of people want to help you to buy your art, and government helps also. If that's right, it's easy to become a big artist here in Berlin. It's easier than in Russia, maybe.
I work also in Russia, or I worked on several projects in Russia, so you disagree probably with me, but some things I even find in Russia easier than here.
Why?
I don't know, like at the same time, I agree with you. I mean, Berlin was and still is, let's say, some sort of a mecca for artists because it's a big city which is still the cheapest capital in Europe. So people can afford living and producing and creating here, but that also means that you have big number of competitors around you who are, trying to achieve similar or same things like you.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. One really important thing, what happened in Berlin over the last years is that the government of Berlin, the city of Berlin, has recognized the potentials of, let's call it street art.
Yeah.
What does street art mean for the city? And Berlin, next to New York, probably has developed to one of the epicenters of street art in the world. And considerably over the last years, the institutionalization of this type of art was very much pushed by the city of Berlin through various projects where they were supporting and spending through budgets and a lot of money. So they have recognized that this type of underground culture, whatever that is, music, clubs, street art, is some sort of an image, contributes to the image of the city, and every third or fourth job in Berlin is connected to tourism. So this is something maybe which is a little bit different than to other cities in Europe.
About you, how artists find you, or how you find artists to work with them?
I knock on doors, or people knock on my door. The good thing about, I also think, maybe because you asked to your previous question, how can you make it in Berlin? I mean, the scene, we both are curious about the scene, which is, let's call it urban art. I mean, there are so many names for it. The good thing about it is that maybe often you do not need a gallery in order to expose yourself or in order to show your work. So you can work outside, you can work legally, illegally. There are many possibilities how you can, get out there without now having a gallerist. And Berlin is a good place for that. And even me, sometimes I pass by this, whitewashed gallery, and sometimes I see a beautiful piece inside, but I'm like, oh, shall I go inside? Shall I not? There is this weird lady sitting inside there, So this type of, in German we call it Schwellenangst. It means the fear of the doorstep.
Okay.
This fear of the doorstep in this scene is much, much lower. So people communicate with each other on a much more intense level, and the main mean of communication for, I would say, all the artists in this scene is social media, Instagram, Facebook. So a lot of people exchange information through that. Just go and talk to people, That's what I mean with the low fear of the doorstep. Unlike, I don't know, in an exhibition of, high contemporary art, nobody here is really surprised if you just go to that youth and say hello, right?
Okay.
So, you should use that in order to meet other artists or to talk. So I think this low threshold of communication is really nice.
Okay, so I think in Berlin it's a very, good art community. So many people know each other, many people work with each other. And in Russia it's not like this. Many talented people are separated. And what do you think we shall make it like in Berlin, like communicate, like make art groups, like make lots of events to meet each other? It can help us in our country.
Well, I think, really, if you want to be credible in this scene, is you have to dedicate some sort, of amount of your energy to community. I think an aspect of community is in the DNA of street art, of graffiti, right? So once you go away from that, then you are also not very credible in whatever you do. So also like in the exhibition, which we were here yesterday and today, next to hanging pieces, there were workshops, there was a party, there were people teaching, other people learning stuff, But everything in a very casual, very cool way. So, I think bringing in these aspects of a community feeling, not only within the scene, but the moment you work outside, maybe you also want to talk to other non-artistic people around, and have some sort of exchange. That contributes, that helps. And that is actually also, your credibility, which you should have. Otherwise, you're just a bullshitter, right?
Oh, can you tell me about how artists in Berlin working with brands, like with huge brands, like making collaboration project, how it works here?
Well, I mean, there are campaigns which are specially tailored or, you know, pre-made in order to engage this kind of street art, urban style culture. There are booking agencies for artists. That would be like, let's say, a very classical way. You could become part of a booking agency and try to get...
Artists can be a part of booking agency?
Yeah, there are booking agencies here and you can...
You have booking agencies for artists?
Yes.
Yeah.
You have a booking
Nice.
agencies for street artists.
Wow. In Russia we don't have such things.
Yeah,
I
but
think,
you know, it's always a two-way road, you know? On the one hand, I completely disagree with this, you know, opinion a lot of people have that you are true artist only when you are suffering and starving and have no money. That's bullshit.
Yeah. Not nowadays.
On the other hand, you know, it's a thin line. It's probably, you know, between commercial work and artistic work. So maybe the question you ask, you know, or through booking agencies, something. Maybe these are more, let's say, maybe more even decoration works than now, let's say, through art, through kind of work of art, which is independent of any commercial aspect. But yes, I mean, there are several ways. There are booking agencies, there are marketing and communication agencies you can talk to, because it's going probably to be impossible to, you know, communicate directly with the brand which sits, I don't know, God knows where. So they are preparing their campaigns for a long time, so you have to go this way around.
I want to ask you about the prices for work, like for canvases. How the artist should give a price to his work? How can it work? Why this work is selling for 100 euros and this is for 5,000 euros? What's the difference?
Well, of course, it depends on so many things. Generally, I think not only for artworks, but for any kind of service. You know, if you ask me or I ask you, can you help me filming something?
Yeah.
Do it for free or do it for good money.
Yeah.
Don't do it for some whatever in between. You know, I think that's an attitude which can help you in life. In terms of pricing, in smaller galleries, there is something which is called impulse buying, and impulse buying is just when somebody maybe who is not a collector but is ended up in the vernissage and the exhibition somehow, and he feels, oh, this is beautiful, I would like to own it. So impulse buying, in my opinion, does not work. It works only in the hundreds. So maybe in an exhibition there are certain pieces which can be sold for impulse buyers.
И сколько она стоит?
Кажется, 30 тысяч. Проверю, если хотите.
Да уж вы проверьте. По-моему, цена чуть завышена. Вы что, купите эту дрянь за 30 тысяч? Это невозможно.
Почему? Вполне возможно.
У чувака кровь пошла из носа, и он просит 30-ку? Фигня это, Филипп. Я сейчас куплю красок на полтинник и наслежу на полную катушку. Еще синий добавлю бесплатно.
Простите, я немного ошиблась насчет цены.
Да уж.
41 500 евро.
Беру.
How to put up your price? Again, either I think it is a present or it has a certain value. In Germany, we say, there is this saying, we say, when something doesn't cost anything, it has no value. So it's a tricky question.
So you, how do you think? Like I started my art like about 1 year ago. So now my price must be low, and in 10 years, when I will be worldwide known, like it must have price like 10.
Or if you die this year, it could be even better. Then you're going to be a blue chip. You're going to have a great story. You know, this young artist from Russia who just started beautiful works, dead. You know, we can sell you next year for like 10 times as much.
Okay, I see. Cool.
No, but I mean, there is the difference between the creative difference between an artist and a curator is the curator is the storyteller.
Yeah.
You know, so you could have the same artist with two curators, and one will make a beautiful beautiful exhibition which everyone will feel very excited about.
Yeah.
And you can take the same artist, the same pieces with another curator who will just fuck up the thing.
Yeah.
Why? Because one is a good storyteller, other one is a bad storyteller.
Yeah.
To make an exhibition, the curator needs to tell a story about the artist and his work. And it's almost like sex, you know? Maybe there is, you know, you also don't, you enter a room and then there is one first thing you see, and then you go around the corner and there is maybe, I don't know, something small, something big, a big surprise, I don't know. There is a story which you have to lead your audience.
Okay.
And I think these storytelling qualities you somehow also apply on the way you put your pricing.
What advices can you give to the Russian young artists how to move on, how to grow up in Russia?
It's a very boring advice, and this is absolutely stay curious, never give up, because especially when you're at the beginning of your career, you know, when you say to somebody, so what are you doing? So like, I'm an artist. What the fuck is that? You know, doesn't mean anything, right?
Yeah.
So you will have, and that you will have, especially if you're a good artist, throughout your life, self-doubt. Is this it?
Yeah.
Is this good what I'm doing? Shall I be doing this at all? And then there will be periods in your life where you will be poor, where you will not have an access to certain places. But there will be also periods of success. I believe in the intelligence of many. I think egomaniac people are failed to doom. Right? So the governance of one, you know, some sort of a dictatorship can be, it can also be for a long time, but it will fail. So intelligence of many is always a certain guarantee for some sort of a success. So yes, and especially in our scene, you know, people should come together and you know, 10 heads always know more than one.
Yeah.
And start to kind of have some sort of a movement.
Yeah.
And within this movement, I don't know, like maybe exhibitions are not even the right thing. Who the fuck cares about you know, the regular way how things are done, you know? And actually that would be what I would be interested in. Instead of me going to Moscow or whatever and bullshitting to some young people how to do it, I would love to come there and they, you know, tell me, you know what, dude, forget that shit what you were doing before. This is how we are doing it now. We don't give a shit about canvases. We do whatever, I don't know, some new sort of media, and our exhibition is made in, I don't know, in the metro wagons of Moscow, or well, I don't know, you know? You're young, you need to invent the new shit. And then guys like me who maybe have more experience will just push it.
How can Russian artists work with Europe, like to have exhibitions here or to sell their art here in Europe?
One thing also about a lot of street artists or urban artists is we are all somehow at the end of the day some sort of gypsies traveling throughout the world. There are so many places and so many festivals which are on regular basis and which are inviting artists. So, you know, so check out what's out there. You know, there are urban art events and festivals from South America to Europe.
Europe events are welcome for Russian artists?
Absolutely, dude. We are like 2 hours or 3 hours away from you by flight, and it's super cheap.
So all we should do, like make a little presentation with works and send to the curator of this event, of this exhibition, right? And we can participate.
Yes, of course. Apply and say.
So easy, yeah?
So easy. Here I am, and I would like to come, and who are you, and is there anything? And also create possibilities for other people to come. I swear to you, people here are just as curious about Moscow, like probably Moscow about Berlin, you know?
Yeah.
So maybe there is a way of an exchange. Invite people to come, work with you in your studio. I don't know.
So I put your Instagram to the description, and young artists can maybe connect with you and make something. Yeah, perfect. And the last, you know Покрас Лампас, that's the god of calligraphy in Russia. So tell me something what you think about him.
I started wearing the same type of glasses he used to have.
Yeah,
you see?
that tells me everything. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for the interview. It was very interesting.
Thank you.
Друзья, спасибо, что посмотрели это интервью. У меня очень важное объявление о том, что мы ищем такого же человека, как Денис, к нам в команду, в эклектику крю. Нам нужен человек, который будет курировать художников, создавать выставки, галереи, придумывать идеи по продвижению, общаться с другими художниками и кураторами и создавать всяческие возможности для нашего творческого объединения. Если в тебе есть подобные таланты, если ты разбираешься хоть немного в искусстве, но в целом ты очень любишь всю эту движуху, пожалуйста, напиши мне где-нибудь. Хочу подвести итоги конкурса, который мы проводили совместно с Зориком Истоминым в конце его интервью. И победителем мы выбрали следующего автора. Его имя Хелмес, который придумал следующую идею. Зорик говорил, что нужно присмотреться к дополнительной реальности, как насчет того, чтобы сделать приложение с использованием камеры, проецирующее на реальную комнату с работами Z и как можно большему числу людей показать произведение. То есть это идея про такую виртуальную галерею в дополненной реальности, которую Зорик планирует в будущем создать. Поздравляю тебя, ты выиграл картину, которую мы, собственно, разыгрывали. Напиши мне, пожалуйста, в любой из социальных сетей, и мы с тобой договоримся о том, как ты ее получишь.